You're watching Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. Good evening, everybody. It is officially here. It's game week. It's time to do battle. That's right. It's the battle of the Carolinas, North Carolina and South Carolina at Panther Stadium. That's Bank of America Stadium up in Charlotte. Thursday afternoon at 6 and some change, about 6:12, 6:16. The game will start, and we're ready to get you ready for the big showdown of the Carolinas. Corey Miller here alongside 24/7 very own and thebigspur.com, J.C. Sherbert. And we've been anticipating this week for a long time. We've been prognosticating and coming up with all types of scenarios. Well, now it is upon us. And, of course, it's going to be a good game when you look at both these teams. A little bit familiar, J.C., because South Carolina, bad defense, new defense coordinator in John Hoke. North Carolina had a really good offense last year, but a bad defense, and they have a new defensive coordinator in Gene Chizik, and we'll get to that later on in the program. But South Carolina, probably when we look at this game, the biggest thing is going to be the quarterback situation, where Connor Mitch finally got the nod for the start. It's going to be an interesting game. He goes back to his home state, where he put up tons of numbers. But now he gets to play the home state school in North Carolina. Should be a fun matchup.
I think so, and I think that when you compare the two quarterbacks, Marquise Williams, of course, is a seasoned veteran, 3,000 yards passing, 740 rushing last year. Obviously, North Carolina's got an advantage there when you compare it to an inexperienced Connor Mitch. He's taken very few snaps, thrown 6 passes in his career.
That's a lot.
So obviously, he's a guy that's going to have to get out there and and show something. And you think about it, too. Most of the time South Carolina's quarterback situation has been fine under Spurrier, even when they've started inexperienced guys. But Steven Garcia in 2008 played 2 or 3 games, started full-time 2009. Blake Mitchell, even in 2005, had played against Kentucky through game-winning I'm sorry, that was Mike Rath.
Right.
But threw the ball against Kentucky, looked pretty good doing it under Holtz the final year. Spurrier names him the starter. He had some tools to work with.
Right.
This is more of a completely unknown situation, simply because last year South Carolina was not in very many games where they could get the backup involved. And so Connor Mitch is going to be very green, they say, on the field Thursday night.
Yeah, he's going to be very green, but Steve Spurrier thinks that he's going to be ready to play. All you can do is prepare a guy. He's been around 2.5 years, I think, in this program, so you would think he would have the knowledge and the concept of the playbook going into this ball game, but nothing substitutes experience and really being in a game. And it's not a road game, but it is a neutral site game. It's not in your backyard. You don't have thousands of fans. Because Steve Spurrier said the other day, and Carolina calls that not a lot of tickets are selling, 55,000 last I heard. But he had his press conference, JC, on yesterday, getting us ready for the ball game. And here's what he had to say about the opening game against North Carolina.
Pretty much an unknown team, unknown at the quarterback position. We believe Connor Mitch will play very well. He just hasn't played yet. They got several young receivers that have not played much at all. We believe they're capable. North Carolina is a pretty much seasoned team on offense. Their quarterback has played very well. Quinshad Davis is a big-time receiver, so it'll be a good test for us. We believe we're going to play a lot better defense, and hopefully that will show up once we kick it off up there in Charlotte.
Well, he mentioned Quinshad Davis. He called him Quinshad Davis from Gaffney. He was a very, very nice football player. Matter of fact, I said, and I'm on record, that he should have taken him over with that Shaq, rolling group. Of course, Shaq isn't on his own thing. But the depth chart, we know what it is right now. Who's going to be the other guys alongside Pharaoh Cooper, Debo Samuel? Carlton Hurd is the guys that he talked about, because they still have the senior Shamir Jeffrey on the roster too. They've lost 2 players now that's going to be on, I call it IR, but out for the season. JC, does that hamper the receiving core with these 2 young guys going down?
I don't know. Shaq Davidson maybe a little bit, because he could have potentially broken into the rotation, later on in the season. I don't think Jared Washington was physically ready to play. He's about 150-something pounds. Really was a guy that enrolled early, did some nice things in the spring, but did not project to help the Gamecocks this year. Shaq Davidson's more of a loss. Neither one is huge, because if you think about it, South Carolina right now, they're starting with experience at receiver over maybe talent, because the guys need to learn the system. So you got Metric Belton a walk-on, Carlton Hurd a walk-on, all within the top 6. You mentioned Shamir Jeffrey. Right. I don't think this matters one bit in terms of the game this Thursday. Maybe later in the year when you needed a Shaq Davidson to step up, possibly. But, you know, Washington was a redshirt projection from the beginning, so I don't think it hurts the Gamecocks at all outside of just having bodies.
Well, the thing that they're going to have to do, and Spurrier talked about this in this press conference, is run the football with Brandon Wiles and David Williams, two accomplished running backs, and you got Sean Carson as well back there. But he talked about the wide receiver position and one that I think could be a help to Connor Mitch at the tight end position. Here's what he had to say.
The receivers, Debo Samuel, will probably start one of the split end positions, and probably Carlton Hurd at the other when we're in three wides. Jarrell Adams at tight end. We got two running backs we know are going to play, Brandon Wiles and David Williams. David had a lot of good runs last year. In fact, he was actually in the game down in the swamp in overtime and had several key carries, making first downs and so forth in our overtime win down there. Yeah, we have confidence both those players are very good and ready to play. But we plan on playing our best players most of the game, as we usually do.
You're going to always play your best players. And the thing for us as media, I mean, we talk about and try to the best of our capabilities, prognosticate these ball games, and you can only kind of go by what we know that they have coming back. Guys we've seen have a lot of film on. But as you said, we haven't seen a lot of Connor Mitch. We got a chance to see one scrimmage, and that was not pretty. So if we go off of that, you're a little bit nervous, but you do feel confident in Brandon Wiles and David Williams. And I think you got to feel confident in a guy like Jarrell Adams, who was behind Buster Anderson last year, and he had some injuries. And he's coming off a little bit of a tweaked hamstring. So the bread and butter, I think, it's going to be, JC, we've got 30 seconds, but it's going to be running the football and establishing the run against North Carolina.
It has to be, and, you know, that's kryptonite for a tempo offense like North Carolina runs. I mean, a lot of people wonder, why does South Carolina beat Clemson 5 years in a row, and they were able to slow down Chad Morris's attack up there? Well, it's because in those games, South Carolina had an enormous time of possession advantage.
Right.
And I think in this game, that's the same key. The same way you beat Clemson, the same way you beat any tempo spread team, is you have the advantage in time of possession, and that means running the football. I think South Carolina's offensive line is going to be able to establish the run. I think if they stick with it with those two backs, they can be successful running it on Thursday night. That keeps that North Carolina offense off the field, increases your chances of winning.
You took the words right out of my mouth. If that running game can keep that high-powered offense off the field, South Carolina will have a chance in this ball game. And speaking of that offense, we're going to talk about the problems that they may cause this South Carolina defense. That's all coming up right here on Gamecock Chalk Talk. Be back in a moment. You're watching Talk Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. And welcome back to Gamecock Chalk Talk. Corey Miller now joined by Spurs and Feathers' very own Brian Hand. News and notes time, injury updates. I know yesterday was important for you. First of all, I want to talk about just the upfit. Spurrier was talking about what they're doing over at the stadium, not only there, but the residence hall with the athletes. And they had their own washers and dryers in the room, and how nice Brett Favre stopped by. So a lot of neat things happened this past week for the Gamecocks as far as getting ready for this ball game. Even a visit from the gunslinger. That's awesome.
That is awesome. And it was pretty cool, you know, Spurrier telling this story, talking about all the great things going, letting Brett Favre tell the story. Says a lot when he says you don't know how good you've got it. And they really don't. I mean, you know, the student athletes, if you're a freshman this year coming into 650 Lincoln, you got your own room, you know, you got the pool outside, you got the place downstairs. It's a different world than when you went to Carolina, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and then you got the indoor practice facility, which is as good as there is anywhere in the country. And then yesterday, you know, Ray Tanner took us around and showed us all the new parts of Springbrook Plaza. I mean, you know, you remember, you got to look back like 20-something years ago, and when they filmed the program at Williams-Brice Stadium.
It's also Hollywood, Springbrook Plaza.
It was, and Hollywood was there, but you know why they were there? Because there was no way you could tell it was South Carolina Stadium. Now you can tell it's South Carolina Stadium. That started when Steve Spurrier took over the job, and now it's as good as it gets in the country, and it's only going to keep getting better, and the recruits are going to come.
Well, no doubt about it. The nice practice field, so I mean, everything they're doing, and you got to do that if you want to stay up to speed with what's happening with all the other teams in the Southeastern Conference. Now, game Thursday night on yesterday after the press conference, an injury to a wide receiver, unexpected. They've been pretty good for the summer from camp. Nobody really no bad injuries, but this is the first one of the year. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and then we learned early. Spurrier was talking about Shaq Davison, you know, had already taken a red shirt last year, now going to have to take a medical red shirt, or hope that he gets even more. You know, he hadn't even got to play yet, and he's out for the year with a knee. And then Washington gets hurt, breaks his leg yesterday at practice. And, you know, and then Jarrell Adams, that'd be a big one. You know, the two other ones are big because it's depth to the wide receivers, and they were going to battle for spots. But with Jarrell Adams, that'd be huge because that's your starting tight end and a future NFL tight end.
And that's a safety spot for Connor Mitch. I mean, one of the best weapons for a young quarterback like Connor Mitch, who haven't played a whole lot, is throw the ball, those nice, safe throws at 5 and out, you know, give it to a big 6'5" tight end like Jarrell Adams, so it looks like he's going to be okay with a tweaked hamstring.
Yeah, and I think that you just hit on why Spurrier's been saying that he's going to have such a big year. Because I think he knows he's going to have to utilize the tiny little bit. And Hayden Hurst, the former professional baseball player, now the team's listed second on the depth chart, but they really like him. And I think the tight end's going to be used quite a bit. You might 3, 4, you know, a lot of tight ends used in the system this year.
Well, Brian, this is the time now we start to talk football with you. And I know this is a big game for you, South Carolina kid. You're a Gamecock fan. You work for the Gamecocks, but they've taken on a really good, at least from an offensive standpoint, North Carolina team, an ACC team. Give us your breakdown, how you like this game, and why whoever you get ready to choose is going to win it.
Yeah, I think first off, I really think that it's going to come down to defense. Both teams didn't have great years last year, and but both are expected a lot. 2 new coordinators, and I think that South Carolina's new coordinator is going to get it done, the new stuff they're doing. I think it's going to be close, though. It's the first game of the year. Usually those games are. I say usually. Those games are close. And I think South Carolina pulls away maybe 27-24, you know, maybe 6 points, maybe even 10 points, depending on how it goes. But I think South Carolina finds a way to win.
South Carolina will find a way to win. You think about 3?
3 or more? I mean, 3, 6, yeah. I mean, go even further, but I think they find a way to win no matter what.
He's Brian Hand with Spurs and Feathers. Of course, follow him on Twitter at Spurs Feathers for all your Gamecock needs. And, of course, he's my man with the injury notes and all that good updates here. Appreciate you, Brian. When we come back, well, this is my time to give my keys to the game, and JC and I will break it down and give you our predictions. You don't want to miss it. That's coming up right here on Gamecock Chalk Talk. You're watching Talk Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. And we're back. Going to be a great game up in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Battle of the Carolinas. I really do like this matchup. The first game of the year for Connor Mitch, a young quarterback, haven't played, but he gets to go in his home state. I promise you, he's probably got all kind of folks asking him for tickets. So he's going to have a good crowd that's cheering for him, plus all the other Gamecock fans. But if they're going to win this ball game, here's at least what I think they need to do. Here's my keys to the game if the Gamecocks are going to get it done. Must be able to run the ball. JC and I just talked about that. I think it's imperative that you establish a run game. If South Carolina get out there throwing it all over the place, incompleting the ball, and then 3 and outs, it's going to be a long day for the Gamecocks. Connor Mitch must protect the ball, meaning he cannot get rattled. You heard him talk about that's going to be the game plan. Expect pressure. JC talked about that fire zone. They basically call zone dogs. They're going to bring linebackers. They're going to run twists and stunts. They're going to do things to try to get in his face to cause him to make a mistake. And number 3, 2 little things defensively. They must get off the field and force 3 and outs. They cannot give up big plays, JC. And if the defense is going to play well, that's a big key with this type of offense in North Carolina. You got to be able to get off the field. You got to get some 3 and outs and give your offense numerous opportunities to try to score points. And you know North Carolina is explosive in the run game. They can be explosive in the passing game. Can't give up those big plays. So that's what I believe they have to do if they're going to win the game.
I agree with you. I think that stopping North Carolina on offense, getting them off the field is absolutely paramount in this ball game. You know, North Carolina can't be able to run the ball with their quarterback.
Right.
You know, I think that adds to what you have to say. You know, if your quarterback's darting out of there on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9 and they're going to first down, you know, it's definitely not going to be a pretty game for the South Carolina defense. You know, I think South Carolina's offensive line is very important in this game. North Carolina is not their typical self on the defensive line. It is an average defensive line from a talent standpoint. You know, I think South Carolina will be able to push them around a little bit and establish the run. And I think that's very, very important when you have a new quarterback. It's such a help when you can just turn around and hand it to 33 or whoever back there and get yards. So I think that those are my keys. All in all, I watched both teams in the spring. Obviously, watched South Carolina in a scrimmage this summer. I think South Carolina's defense has come a long way. I think it's going to be a completely different defense than last year. I like the Gamecocks to establish the run, to be able to take advantage of the North Carolina defense and their deficiencies, and to score a fair amount of points. And they're not going to keep North Carolina off the scoreboard, but I think they'll get some big plays from the defense. 38-24 Gamecocks is my prediction.
Well, before we get out of here, I got to give you mine. Again, it's the battle of defense with John Hope outdo Gene Chizik. It's going to be a battle. I do think South Carolina has better players, or at least better potential players on defense, and I think they feel like they have something to prove defensively. And because of that, I expect the Gamecocks to go on and win this ball game in a close one, 28-23. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, we got our special coming up Thursday at 5 o'clock right here on Watch Fox. So don't miss our Gamecock special on Thursday just before kickoff. That's going to do it for us tonight. Have a good one.